This is Ingleside Review's Innovators Unveiled. And now your host, A.D. Edwards.
Okay, welcome to the inaugural episode of Unveiled. This is an episode that's going to be talking to Arias WebsterBerry. And Arias is a Texas native. At least he's residing there right now. But he is someone that will understand the struggle and the challenge of starting businesses, of making businesses successful, and how to scale a business once you start. Because just starting a business isn't the only thing. That's one challenge, but making it thrive is an entire different challenge. So we're talking to Arias today on our episode here, the inaugural episode of Innovators Unveiled. Arias WebsterBerry, welcome to the show.
A.D. Edwards, thank you for having me, sir. I am honored to be your first guest, man, and God willing, I'll be your best.
Well, you know what? You already are. So talk to us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You've been an entrepreneur for more than a decade. And, you know, a lot of people, they desire to become entrepreneurs, but it takes a different kind of skin, as it were. And it takes a different type of mentality to go from the job mentality to the entrepreneur mentality. So how did you start on this path?
I probably have a different story than most in that my official first entrepreneurial endeavor started when I was 10. I was walking home from school and I just heard a whole bunch of dogs barking behind fences. We've been living there for a while, but I noticed I never saw dogs outside. And I said, man, like I was obsessed with the dogs at the time. And one of the things I learned is that dogs need a good amount of exercise. They need to be walked every day. And I said, I don't ever see anybody walking the dogs. So like lightning bolt hit me. I went home, dropped my books, grabbed my cousin, and I said, hey, man, we're going to start a business and we're going to go see if we can walk people's dogs. So we went around the neighborhood, knocking on doors, asking people if we could, walk their dog for $5. And we got a lot of people that said no and just didn't answer the door. But, you know, a few did answer and they said yes. So we were able to walk their dog, bring it back. And I was excited. Came home, told my mom, like, hey, I think it was like $20 or $30. And she was like, I'm 10. How'd you make $30? I said, well, I walked and I knocked on some doors and I walked their dogs. And she said, you did what? You went knocking on some weird, what do you, no, absolutely not. You were not.
Stranger danger out the window.
So my first, business rose and fell in a 5-hour period.
With the profit.
Definitely, because my startup was zero. But, I got it honestly, man. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'm almost 40 now. So, I grew up in the age, in the 90s, in the 2000s. At that time it was like mid 90s. Right. And you had a lot of landmark entrepreneurs. You had the Steve Jobs, the Richard Bransons, the Russell Simmons, the Diddy's, the Donald Trumps. All of these different people at the time, were heroines. They were business titans, and they were this new breed of maverick entrepreneur that stood in front of the brand instead of behind it. And that was extremely attractive.
And you were able to see, and they did that, and you were able to see the progress that they made. You could see how. I remember vividly. Now we know Diddy's is controversial now, but I remember looking at a magazine, and he was at I think it was MCA. It was Uptown or something at the time. He was 21, 22 years old, and he was starting his label. And I remember Donald Trump looking at, I read The Art of the Deal, and you see how far he's gone. Now, what's interesting, I have a question about you and becoming an entrepreneur, because it's hard to get a job minded individual sometimes to think in the mindset of the entrepreneur. But if you meet someone like yourself, I know a few people who only had businesses. You couldn't get them to think in the job mindset. Why do you think that that's the case? And what do you think is the key to changing the mindset? Because it seemed like early on you saw a need and you wanted to fill it, because it seems like most entrepreneurs become successful, not they're chasing money, but they're trying to chase a need that they see people have. So how do you think the person has to change that mindset to leave the 9 to 5 to?
Yeah, it's that first, a lot of people start hobbies that they masquerade as businesses, and I say that because it's more, hey, I'm really into this thing, not anybody actually wants to buy the thing that I'm selling. So like you said, I started by recognizing a need and filling it. And I believe that in all of my businesses, since that time to now, that's always been the focus. How can I, provide value to my end user? And in that, you have to, I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, there's two things, two paradigm shifts that you have to have. One, what you think does not matter if the market doesn't prove that your thought matters, right? So if you can't take your product or service and put it out in the market and present it in a way, or have the features that benefit them in a way that they say, yeah, I need that, then you could try to start a horse farm and put it next to a Ford dealership if you want to, but the market isn't buying it. And the second thing is, you, and this is something that took me a long time to figure out, but when you are not a employee, you wake up every day, you have to get up, you got a time to start, you got a time to take a break, a lunch, you got a time to quit. You have requirements. There are inputs and outputs. There are reports on how well you do. You need to approach your business with that same level of structure. I hear so many entrepreneurs that say, man, I want to start my own business because I don't want nobody telling me what to do. And I want to be able to set my own schedule. I want to, be able to sleep in late if I want to. Look, if that's your thought of entrepreneurship, you might as well go back to work, go into your boss's office, and thank them for employing you. Because that thought process is going to get you broke. It's going to get you into bankruptcy.
Yes, I agree. I have an uncle who started a business, a very successful insurance firm. And when this is about a decade or so ago, I've been doing insurance at the time for about 5 or 6 years. So I've done it about 15 years altogether. I'm in my 50s. And he was telling me, he says, at the time I was homeschooling my son. We were living abroad. Mm-hmm. And my son, he was, how can I put this? I want to say this right because I know that he's going to be listening to this. At first, he was doing well at the homeschooling, getting up in the morning. But as the year progressed, he would wane. And that's what happens with entrepreneurs. They may have the spark, but the successful ones continue no matter what. And my uncle was telling me about, he's been in insurance. And he says the same people that can't get up in the morning to go to school, those are ones that need a clock. They need to punch a clock. They need to be told what to do. So sometimes when you want to become an entrepreneur and you think you're going to have freedom, that's not the case. Be prepared to work harder and be the last one to get paid. I know what that's about. Now, you started out as a dog walker at 10 years old, but you've had so many businesses since then. So tell us a little bit about some of the stuff you've done, and we're going to gradually get to this book that you have and some other stuff we want to talk about. So you started walking dogs, but that wasn't it. So tell me a little bit else about your journey.
Yeah. From there, man, obviously I went to school like everybody else. And I'd say probably the first movement towards entrepreneurship was me throwing parties in high school. I was an athlete, so I knew a few people, both in my school and kind of around the city. So, I would throw events and with some friends, and, people would come. And we realized that a lot of people wanted to come to events. So we started charging. And we made,
So you were promoting.
exactly. And it was a simple business, hey, some music, we need a space, we need, a little bit of food, some drinks, and then just gate it. And it was a simple business. It had a lot of moving parts, but, the concept was simple. Once I got out of high school and got into college, I continued along that path. And a friend of my mom's had a record label. And around this time, social media was really starting to get moving and have an impact. And that wasn't something he was really good at. So he said, hey, I hear you throw some events, you throw some parties. I hear you're pretty good with social media. Can you, do some marketing for my label? And we did that. It went well. And he said, hey, I also have this promotions company. You've kind of thrown parties. You want to do some marketing for my promotions company. We work at a couple nightclubs. And, we took over the social media arm of things. And then I got out in the streets with some flyers and put them on cars and handed them out. And, we started to make a little money there. And that moved me into really small concerts, and then, medium-sized concerts, and bigger and bigger. And at the height of promotions, I did a concert at the LA Sports Arena, around 17,000 people. We had Common, Janelle Monáe, Ludacris, Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys, and a whole bunch of other artists. And that was huge. It was a landmark in my career. I actually even got a commendation from the city of Los Angeles, the city council, for that event.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so that was the thing, man. It was humming along, and then life started lifing.
Life started life, and that's what happens.
It does, man.
So that's interesting. We mentioned you talk about Diddy. He started as a paper boy.
Mm-hmm.
He started on a paperboy route, and he would hire other people. He would get other people's routes and pay them to do that. That was interesting. You talk about Russell Simmons. He started also promoting, and so you go from promoting to now you're doing concert promotion, and you're doing marketing basically.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, what's next?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time that I had got to do like full, like rounded marketing, right? So I was talking with outdoor marketing companies. So I was like negotiating billboard contracts and getting us TV commercials and working with radio spots. And, now instead of me handing out flyers, I was running street teams, plural, right? They were all over the city of LA, putting up, posters and handing out flyers, and we're like coordinating them in different parts of the city. And then also the social media thing. So I got a full, crash course on marketing.
Yeah.
And then,
full repertoire.
Yeah. And then 2009, hit 2010, the economy crashes. I was in California. The housing market was terrible. It just crashed. Credit freeze. It was a bloodbath. And I stuck it out for a couple years. And then eventually I said, this sucks. California sucks. I'm going back to Texas. So I packed up, moved to Dallas, landed in my grandmother's house, and rebuilt, man. In that time, I ended up being homeless. Trying to stick to my dream and find a way. And then eventually, I just got a regular job. In that job,
Yeah.
the first like real one was at the largest digital marketing company in the world at the time. It was Reach Local. And that's where I kind of got my formal digital marketing training.
Let's talk about when you move back to your grandmom's, or when you move there. I want people to hear. I don't know you very well at all, but I know you're an entrepreneur and you have the mindset, and I'm almost guaranteed what you're about to say.
Okay.
Here's the people telling you, Arias, leave that alone, man. Just get a job. It's not work. It's not going to work. That's not, be realistic.
Yeah.
Tell me you haven't heard that. All people who want to pursue dreams hear that from one form or next, and it's usually from people that they're close to. How do you react to stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, man, and this is the part that people won't be honest about. My family and friends that were telling me those things, telling me, hey, just, you need to get a job. If you're gonna be in this house, you got to put some numbers on the board, player. You're gonna have to contribute. And to be honest, that's fair. If what you're doing is not producing, you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. I
like that. You have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to
absolutely.
do. That's a good quote.
I got it from my mom. So that was one of those conversations where she was like, hey, you got to get a job. You need to be able to support yourself. You need to be able to handle, certain things. And I did. And I think I went to work some odd jobs randomly. And eventually I was able to land somewhere where I actually enjoyed what I was doing, which was, the digital marketing. But, I advise a lot of entrepreneurs now. I have hundreds of entrepreneurs that I quote unquote shepherd, through my Launch Ignition program. And that's one of the things that I stress. You're going to start this business, cool, but don't quit your day job, honestly, because your business is like a baby. It needs to be fed. And when you start this business, it's most likely not going to be enough to feed you and your family. So you need to make sure that home is covered, because it's a lot easier to build your business when you got somewhere to go lay your head and some lights that turn on when you flip the switch, and you can take a hot shower and there's food in the fridge.
Yes.
Than you trying to handle those basic necessities while also dealing with the rigors and stress of building a business. It was tough. It was a blow to my ego. It was a blow to my belief in my dream. It was a blow to what I thought, or who I thought I was, and what I thought I was capable of. Because, if me, this guy who had done all these things and worked with all these, Grammy award winning artists, and, been in boardrooms and done, all these high powered deals, could end up, homeless and in need of support and having to go back to a regular job. Well, I questioned if I was cut out for this thing. But I'm stubborn. So
you have to be.
Yeah. You got to be a little crazy to chase a dream. And little did I know that was the start of what I did now. Right. I was already in marketing, but going to get the job and get the formal training at the digital marketing company was what gave me the structure and the credentials, because I got some certificates, in Google AdWords and in various ad platforms that allowed me to truly understand the scope of what I was trying to do. And that ended up being my next business, a marketing company. So it was a, take one step back to take two steps forward type of thing. But at the time, I didn't understand that.
And you never, it seems as if you never lost focus on what you wanted to do. You never allowed the naysayers to kill the dream. You just handled what had to be handled, but you still kept the flame flickering somewhat until you could like douse it with more gasoline. And that's just
Yeah,
opportunity.
Kanye has this line that says, "I can let these dream killers kill my self-esteem, or use my arrogance as the steam to power my dreams." And I've always identified with that, man, because it was arrogance. Because arrogance is the an overinflated sense of self in your capacity, even though you have no proof otherwise, right? And just in my head, in my core of who I am, I said, I'm an entrepreneur and I can figure this out, and I can do it. I know how, but I had convinced myself that I was going to figure this thing out.
So, how did you come to coaching entrepreneurs? I know that's like a few steps away from where you are in this story, but it, it's they say those who can play and those who can't coach, but that's not always true, because some of the best coaches have lived the life of a player. Because how can you respect the coach if he's never played? So now you're coaching entrepreneurs, but that means you're able to see where they are
Mhm.
and see the potential that they have of going, but also to help them avoid pitfalls. So, how did you end up being a coach? Did someone come up to you and start asking questions, and you started mentoring people, and you said, "Hey, there's a need for this"? How did this come about?
Yeah, it actually started as a result of us turning people away on the agency side. So, we, I would say maybe like 4 years ago, we started having like a minimum. So in order to work with us on the agency side, you need to be making a certain amount of money in your business, and you need to have a minimum in your ad spend, because we were hyper focused on ads at the time. That was kind of our main thing. We built websites and we did ads. So we did that because we came across more than a few customers that we kind of made smaller packages for, just to kind of get them started, and we kind of scaled them a little bit, and then we turn on the ads. And I went probably like 5 or 8 or 9, 10 times. I got calls maybe like 2 weeks after, and they say, "Hey, um, yeah, things are going great, but can you turn off the ads?" And I was like, "Turn off the ads? What do you mean?" Is it
That's an odd
right?
request.
I'm like, we worked on this for weeks, going back and forth, having meetings, and you finally decided to do it. You paid your money, and I talked to you just yesterday or last week. You said it was going great. Now you want me to stop sending you business? And what we realized is those people that were coming in on the lower end, that they were seeing negative results of all of the business. It was uh, shining a light on all of the issues that they had not figured out in their business. It was showing the lack of systems. It was showing the lack of organization. It was showing all of the flaws and cracks in their foundation. And they were starting to get bad reviews on Google and on Facebook because they weren't able to um, live up to the brand promise that they had made. Um, so in doing that, couple years, we just, hey, if you're not making a certain amount, if you don't have a certain amount to spend, you're not really ready to do business with us. You're not the best fit for us as an agency. But there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are not making 100 grand, 200 grand, $1 million a year, and most of them, I mean, I was one of those at one time, and most of them don't know what they don't know. So after having some conversations with some friends and some friends of friends that had asked me about marketing, and I said, yeah, you're maybe not a good fit. I said, I'm going to do a little event. I'm going to have an event. I'm going to do a boot camp, and I'm just going to give some game, right? We probably
Yes.
charged maybe $100, $200, something real simple for you to come in, and we gave an enormous amount of value. We I gave frameworks, we did videos, I, had them sketch out their processes, and I dug into it. I'm like, have you thought about this? And hey, this system over here will help you. We just really got elbow deep into their business and helping kind of rearrange things and structure it. And the response was amazing. They loved that they had somebody really guiding them. And I said, there's something here. And I remember I was on vacation with a close friend of mine. I came out of the room and I said, I got it. I'm going to start a program, and I'm going to take all that stuff and all the things that we're doing in our business, and I'm going to turn that into a program. So I want to say I went like a straight like 2-3 days, and I just coded. We basically built these forms of all of our frameworks, and I put it on a web page, and I basically gated it. So you needed to pay in order to get access. You get a username and password. It took me like 3 days to build. And it was just a framework. Like, hey, I know to build my business, as many businesses as I've built, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And then you need to build a sales, machine. And then you need to get into marketing. And these are the 3 pillars of marketing that you need to cover.
Now, is that still available for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah.
Is that website, is that still available?
Yeah. It's now a formal actual program. It's called Launch Ignition. Launchignition.ai is the website. So www.launchignition.ai. And we boiled it down to 9 steps, 3 phases, 3 steps per phase, 9 steps of what you need to do to get your business idea and out of your head and into profitability. And we built that thing, and it was going great. We had, I want to say maybe 10 or 15 entrepreneurs go through it and it took about 6 months to a year to get them through the whole process. And then ChatGPT came out, and I was just like, we have to figure out how to use this thing and put it in the business. So we had a whole development, path and roadmap ready to go as to what we were going to do with this thing. But we stopped all that. We figured out the ChatGPT thing. We put it in the center, and then we recorded a whole bunch of videos to teach you how to use it. And Launch Ignition was born. And now we've taken over 100 entrepreneurs through the program. We haven't done any marketing at all. They're all through referrals. And it's gone so well, and we've been able to predictably get people results. So now, starting in January, we're opening enrollment to the public.
Now, question, is this something that people can do remotely, or do they have to come to Dallas for the entrepreneurial training?
It's fully remote. So the unique thing about Launch Ignition is it's a software. It is a one-on-one coaching program. So you meet with me or my team, for a set number of sessions over a 90-day period. And then there's a group element to where we meet weekly with all students that are in the Launch Ignition program in order to have some teaching moments where I kind of teach on a subject, but also some light peer pressure to where you got to tell people what you're working on and what you're going to get done by the next meeting. So, we record it all, and I go back through, and it's like a roll call. All right, AD, you said that you're going to get XYZ done. What you got? Oh, well, hey,
accountability,
man. And I keep it real. I don't want to hear all that. Where
accountability? Yep.
So,
exactly.
It's a hybrid. It's got the system at the middle that does all the heavy lifting and using the latest in AI. It's got the one-on-one to really dig in deep into your stuff and help you develop something that may be a little more sensitive. And then you've got that group element. So you've got the camaraderie, and you've got the accountability.
Nice. So, I'm looking forward to more people hearing about this and taking advantage of it. It's something that entrepreneurs need. In that course, I know there's a lot of elements that must come into play to have a successful business. do you also touch on the framework and the mindset needed to be an entrepreneur in that course?
We didn't. And I had one of my star pupils. Her name is Dr. Jonah Tate. She's an amazing entrepreneur, sweetheart, and she's a beast, honestly. She kind of checked me. She said, "Hey, all this technical stuff and all that different stuff, that's great, but not everybody is you. Not everybody is just going to get up and fight through no matter what, if trips are down or up or whatever. Some of us need to kind of understand how to develop that internal drive, right? You need to touch on some of the mindset stuff. And, I never really thought about it because all of my mindset stuff, those are conversations I have with myself at, 5-6 o'clock in the morning.
You're that's because Arias, you're innate, man. You started when you were 10.
Right.
And you had the mindset.
Right. So,
but that's a great point that she made, because when you think about it, that's why Magic Johnson wasn't like a great coach. That's why Jordan said he could never coach and Kobe said he wouldn't coach, because they couldn't see their drive replicated in others, because it takes a special individual that comes along every so often to have that. And that's what entrepreneurs have to be successful. Now, you also you're an author too. So tell us about the book you book or books. I don't know how many you've have written or tell us.
I mean, I got quite a few ebooks. I got like 3 or 4 of them. But only book that's actually in published is actually sitting right over here. It's called Content Canon. And
hold it up so we can see it.
Grab it real quick. Yeah. Content Canon. So it is how you create 1 month of content for your business in 1 day. So we basically took the best of what we do for clients, because obviously we have, we manage the social media of a couple hundred businesses. So in doing that, we've had to be extremely efficient, right? In order to keep all the trains running on time, we figured out what was important and what wasn't. And one of the issues we always ran into is, when we're trying to create content, especially like video content, it's hard to get clients to sit down and actually do the thing. So we said, all right, we got to get everything we need for the month. We got to get it in one sitting, right? We got to get this at one time. Yes. So we had to develop a system and a process to be able to extract all the raw content that we need from clients so that they can kind of go back to running their business, and we can, manage things and have enough to run for a whole month. And in doing that, we also included that Content Canon. Well, it wasn't called Content Canon. It was just it actually was just a name, a string of words and acronyms and numbers in our system, on our project management system. But, me being a marketer, I came up with a slick name for it, a little alliteration. And I took that and I made that one of the steps inside of Launch Ignition, because that part, especially for budding entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, is being able to do, content and social media stuff for your business, but it's only you. So, it's got to be super efficient. So I wrote the book to be a playbook, right, on everything that you need in order to consistently produce content, for your business. And I stripped everything off of it. There's no fluff in the book. It's, I want to say 100 pages, 120 pages. So it's something that you can read, in a couple days, 2-3 days, if you really want to dig in. And it's an instruction guide, man. It's there to help an entrepreneur get the most out of a day and show up consistently for a month.
Wash, rinse, and repeat. Mm-hmm. It's a process. You made it into a process that they could easily understand. How can one get that book? Where can we get it at?
Yeah, if you go to my website, ariaswebsterberry.com/author, the book is there. I think we have a promotion going. It's free plus shipping, and I got a couple free offers and ebooks that come along with it. I think shipping, depending on where you are, is anywhere from like $5-10. If you're international, it could be like $20. Yeah, you go there. Otherwise, it's in Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon. It's in a whole bunch of other book retailers as well.
Okay, great. So thank you for having the time to sit down and chat with us and tell us about what you're doing. You've been at it for a long time, sir. Much respect to you. And I look forward to perhaps getting with you again. And I hope that everyone get a chance to go to your website and take advantage of Launch Ignition. That sounds like an excellent program for entrepreneurs. But that's what this show is all about, how to become an entrepreneur, how to have the right mindset, and what you need to do to become successful. So thanks for having you. Thank you for being on the show. This is my first episode. And like I'm a little bit I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm happy I got it done, because one thing an entrepreneur has to do is just do it.
Exactly.
I had all my equipment, had everything set up, and
we have a saying in all my companies, man, done is better than perfect, right? And today you got it done.
I love that. I love that. Yes. Because, I wanted to have everything just right. And so I'm talking to my wife, and I said, I don't have a studio. I want to have a studio. And I'm in my closet, man. I'm in the closet.
Hey, look.
But
look, my business started in a closet, man. I got a picture around here somewhere. I started my agency in a closet, man. That is look, garages and closets. You tell me you started something in a garage or a closet, I know you're serious about what you do, because that means there's no excuses. It's like, hey, I'm gonna make this work no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for having the time to sit down and talk with us. We appreciate you, and we're gonna keep in mind your social media links, your websites, and your products. Thanks a lot, Mr. WebsterBerry.
Thank you for having me.
See you next time.